All right. Well, welcome, everyone. This is our camera for this. Hey, guys, welcome to the pregame show with our special guest, Coach Jimmy Thomas, going to be on tonight. Nice to have you, Coach.
I appreciate it, guys. Appreciate it.
So we are let's see, the clock says we got, I'm looking at the wrong one.
25
minutes. I looked that one, I'm like, that can't be right. So 25 minutes till kickoff. We're going to give you guys about 15, 20 minutes here, kind of pregame talk. And then we'll get into, we'll switch over to NFHS. But FYI, we will be doing an audio-only broadcast tonight as well. So just heads up on that. So that will go to our YouTube channel. So you're more than welcome. If you don't want to do NFHS, you can actually listen to us over there. But that will be audio only. We cannot live stream there. So NFHS will have all the live broadcast action. So we are here at Lowry Field in Lubbock, Texas for round 2 of the playoffs as the Falcons are going to be taking on Jim Ned, Indians, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, Coach, what are your thoughts about this game?
Well, I talked to Coach Reynolds this morning. We talked quite a bit, and then, he's concerned it's going to be a good one. They're going to line up, run right at you, and you're going to have to stop the run, and they do a good job of that. And they have one really good right tackle that's really big and physical, so they're going to run right behind him. So had to do a good job playing defense, and then offensively, you're going to have to throw and catch in the cold. So that's a little bit of a concern sometimes, but I think it could be a really good ball game.
Does that change your game plan when it's cold a little bit? Do you change anything or?
Well, you try not to. You try to get the kids where they don't even think about it, to where it's, everything's automatic at what you do, and try not to change a whole lot what you do. And now if it's windy and there's some things there, wet or windy and stuff, sometimes you have a wind plan, a couple set of plays that you do there. But, I think these guys will be fine.
I asked Josh this morning, I said, what's the wind going to do? He goes, yeah, I think it's about 8 to 10. And I go, Coach Thomas always knew exactly what the wind was at 7. I said, you got to up your game, man.
I don't know if he's as paranoid as I was yet. I don't know. But it's not as windy, and I'll tell you, in the Lubbock area, it's not as windy down here as Bushland's the windiest place in America. You guys know that.
Yeah, we know.
I come out to Littlefield, and they say, gosh, it's windy. I go, no, it's not. It's not.
That's funny.
Looks like you're having a little slight north to south breeze tonight. Not anything too major.
Yeah, the flag's not doing all the way out, right? So it's only part way out.
So, Coach, when you face up against a team like Jim Ned that has a Gage Stanley who just committed this past week to Oklahoma State, that's a big guy, do you focus a lot on that with your defense, or does that get in their head? Do you kind of just say, hey, he's just like every other left tackle you faced?
Well, you pray they only have one of them, instead of 5. But, that obviously you're going to have to look at tendencies and what they do, how much are they running behind him. And, if they're running behind him, 80% of the time or something, or they flipping him and doing some things like that, you're definitely going to have to do something different. If he's a standard guy, and obviously 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, they're going to run right behind him. But you're going to probably have to do something there. But there's 2 guys up front for the Falcons that are pretty dang good. So
yeah, no, absolutely. And I think Quinches is going to have his hands full today, more than likely, and Charlie as well, because they'll flip him that big tackle to either side.
When watching some of their video, they have a tendency to move him right to left, and I think that almost gives it away. But I think they almost don't mind. He's that good that, hey, we don't mind if we're going to go right. But you watch this Falcon defense. We make a living in that A gap. As a coach, do you think about moving that guy into the guard spot like we saw Shallowater do with their big?
It's interesting because, he plays tackle, so, the base front for Bushlands is a what they call a special, or it's a bear front, so there's a 3 technique inside, so that's actually a good angle for that tackle too. So I don't know. I personally leave him at tackle, and that way you have an angle you wouldn't block down, but I know Shallowater had a little success, moving that guy inside a little bit, but be interested to see, but I'll tell you this, you're going to have a plan if they're flipping him a bunch, and I guarantee you Coach Mayfield will have a plan ready.
Yeah, great to have Coach Mayfield back. For sure, he was back last week as well, so definitely glad that he is back on the field. All right, so here's the deal. Let's do the one key for defense, Steven, one key for offense, and then I'll come to you next.
Okay. Obviously, key for defense, you got to get off the line. If we can get pressure up the middle, which is kind of our bread and butter. If you look at the one game we struggled in with Shallowater, it is when they move Case and Long in. And, we talk about not having 5 of those big boys, man. Shallowater had a great, Coach Thomas being a little field, but Shallowater, great offensive line. I do not feel like their offensive line is as deep as Shallowater's was. even though Stanley is obviously a standout. And then obviously on offense, we got to go fast because they're going to play a lot of guys both ways. And if we can play our tempo, I think by the third and fourth quarter, man, they're not going to have it in them left to go.
Did you do offense too?
Yeah,
that
tempo,
was right.
that was
Okay.
my offense.
Okay. Coach, what do you think?
I'll give you two keys, and this is anytime you focus on a game, is the NCAA does a bunch of studies, and I know I've probably told you this guy before, but if you win the turnover battle and you win the battle of explosive plays, which is 15 plus yards, you win 95% of the time. And so that's the whole key to tonight is you got to play good, but that makes you well-rounded. You have to play defense, you have to play all three phases, and take care of the football. So it's going to come down to explosive plays and turnovers.
So I was going to say turnovers as well, so I'll pick a different one. I think getting them in the third and long is going to be a key. From a defensive perspective, I think if we can get them in the third and long, it takes them a little bit out of their normal game plan. They want 2, 3 yards, 4 yards in the first down, second down, so they got those third and short. So that's my one for defense. For offense, I think it's going to be establishing the run so we can do the throw. And that's going to be harder tonight, I think, than I think their front is pretty good on their defense, so the running is going to be a little harder. But if we can establish that run, I think we'll open up the other. A lot of times we do it the other way around. A lot of times we throw it over the run. But to me tonight, I think it's a little bit of a flip. We've got to open that up a little bit. So those are mine as well. So let's talk about playoffs just a little bit. Any surprises from last week that you saw, Coach?
I'm trying to think. The biggest surprise we thought a little bit was Abernathy's Spearman. That was being in Abernathy's district, I was a little surprised at that. But one of the things about NFHS is you get back there and watch those games.
It's nice, isn't it?
And we watched it, so they kind of just got after them. They got in the single wing, and I think Spearman changed what they did in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and kind of went out of the spread. They kind of got into a single wing, which is kind of a tackle over set, and kind of ran the ball really well and quit putting it in the air and decided they were just going to focus on the run, and they did a good job. I mean, they really kind of dominated the game.
I think the advantage, there's no film on that if you're the other team, right? Because they just switched it like the 9th or 10th game of the year. They had to switch into that. So I think that's a big advantage. For me, I'll say Steven called it, but I wouldn't have thought it would have been that big of a blowout. But to me, it was Dalhart just whipping up on Denver City that much. I mean, I'm not surprised they won because we played Dalhart the week before, and I thought, 10, 15 drop passes constantly for that quarterback.
And Kyle Reed's the real deal quarterback.
Yeah,
That kid
and
can
he
play
played well.
football.
He just didn't have anybody catch the ball against us. I think that's a little bit closer ball game. But yeah, I did not think it was going to be that big of a spread between those two games.
Obviously, it was great to watch District 2 sweep District 1, which is obviously our district. All 4 teams got to win. I think for me, I expected the Tascosa Centennial game this afternoon to be closer. Tascosa got throttled. I think that game ended up 31-7. It was Tascosa hadn't trailed by more than 14. It was the first time they trailed by more than 14 points all year. And you get so used to Coach Plunk and that offense producing points that you looked up and I think that game was 24-0, and you're just like, wow. And they did score late to prevent the shutout, but that one really shocked me about this week, and then now we're kind of in that point of the season where I feel like everything's starting to fall in. We're exactly where you thought it would be, Brought Karen Muleshoe last night, and I point behind me because their coaches are behind us here to scout because that'll be our next round game. We take care of business here. What do you think we're going to try to play that game?
They're up. From what I understand, there's not a time set, but they're going to play it in Vernon. I think it's kind of already set where they're going to play it. I think there's a chance it could be a doubleheader, so I don't know exactly what time.
Thankfully, it's not Childress.
Or Iowa Park.
Yes. Both of those have not treated us well over the years. Childress, especially last year. We started and ended our season.
Oh, we've had some good games at Iowa Park, too. We've had some good games as well.
It's been a while, and when you start talking about high school kids and what they remember of a place, this group has never seen a win at Childress.
I think we had Godly at was Iowa Park, wasn't it?
We had them at Vernon.
Oh, we had them
at Vernon in 17.
Okay.
That was Friday after
That was
Thanksgiving.
a football game.
That was a football game. It really was.
Man, it's been a few years since we had Thanksgiving football.
I got to see Mayfield's December shirt. Remember he got
yes, he does have a special.
He has a special shirt, so that's the only time I've
We
seen
got
the
to see
shirt.
that 2017. We did.
Now, Coach, is Mayfield, obviously we missed Mayfield during the shallow water game. You coached with him a long time. We talked about this during the shallow water game. That was the first varsity game that we did not have Mayfield on the sideline for. You know, we only played junior varsity football the first year. He came year 2 of the school.
Mm-hmm.
Is he the coach, or is there a coach that you coached more games of football with?
Probably not. You know, between him and Josh, I probably coached more with those guys than anybody really. You know, I've known Coach Mayfield for a long time because this is how old Coach Mayfield is. Yeah, because I'm not a spring chicken, but when I graduated high school in 1989, he came the next year. Was his first year coaching at Sanford Fritz High School. So he actually came.
He was my junior high football coach.
The year after I graduated, and so him and my dad had developed a friendship because my dad taught there, and so I've known of Coach Mayfield for a long time. And then when I took the job in 2014, and it was just a no-brainer to me that he needed to be our defensive coordinator. And so, you know, I think a lot of Coach Mayfield, and you know, he's a good guy, he's a good coach, and you know, it's kind of special to watch these guys have the success.
Well, he definitely impacts lives. I mean, I know when we first learned what happened with Mayfield, I texted all 3 of my boys, who all 3 had played for him, obviously, and all 3 were like, "Oh no, keep us posted." I mean, they were just like, "Please, because he definitely impacted them in a very, very positive way." So,
you know, you have it. I'm going to ask you a few questions because it's a unique perspective that we don't get to give often. And from a coaching perspective, like Coach Reynolds, having to go through that where you lose one of your key pieces of your staff. Yeah. You know, you coach a backup safety, you coach a backup running back, a quarterback. I mean, you don't have depth in your coaching staff for a mid-season next man up. What was that like for Coach Reynolds to have to walk through that?
You know, obviously it's stressful. You know, you don't ever want to lose that key piece of the puzzle. You know, and you know you've got guys on staff. You know, Coach Pearson's really, really sharp, and it's just the change is what you worry about. You know, and you know, Ty brings a different energy source. You know, to the situation, and you know, I've got a funny story. One of the biggest butt chins my son ever got was from Coach Mayfield. And
he's up there nodding his head.
Yeah. Well, and I don't really know what happened. I didn't see what happened, and he walks over to me and he says, "Well, Coach," I said, "Nah, you don't have to explain to me. Coach him like he's your own." And because I guarantee he deserved it, but Coach Mayfield's one of a kind, and you know, I guarantee you that was stressful just because of what game it was. You know, it's not really what you want to do, but you know, I think what'll happen eventually out of all that is everybody be better at because of it. You know, and you know, I had text Coach Mayfield at home, and he's like, "Man, it's just killing me." And so, you know, Ty's a competitor, so yeah. But I mean, Coach Reynolds is that little stress. You know, he's I've talked to him a little about little things because you know he tended to poke a little fun at me, and I said some of that's kind of karma. I said, now you're head coach mode.
You're reaping what he sowed, right?
Absolutely. Now you're acting like a head coach. So
that's funny. Well, let's do game predictions, score predictions for fun.
For fun. Oh, and I'm pretty good at these, I think. Most of the time.
Steve's pretty darn good. I'm not.
But, you know, when I talked to y'all this just a little bit ago off the air, I feel like if both teams play their best, Bushland's a 2-touchdown favorite. But it was 32 degrees when we got here, and the sun is no longer up. I mean, does that impact how high scoring it is? Here's what I can tell you. Jim Ned's going to try to run the ball, and they're going to try to shorten this game. And if we can get out fast, I see this being 31-14, 31-17 Falcons. If it turns into a dogfight, I think you're going to end up having the Falcons have to win a 24-21 game.
Okay. I'll go next. I'll let you go last. I'll say, I agree, because that's kind of the analysis I had too. I think if we get out fast, I think we can put up 42. And I'll say with a 42-21 if we jump up fast. The low score perspective, I'm going to say 24-21. Still Bushland, but by 3. Only because we have to play their game. It changes the game.
It does. This will be a much shorter game.
Okay. You want me to weigh in on this deal? I don't have any money on it, so it's good. I'm going to say 35-14 Bushland. I think if they'll play the way they can play, they're quite a bit better.
I agree with you.
Okay.
Now, before we wrap up, let's talk about our girls at volleyball, man.
Hey, yeah, absolutely. Let's do that. Steven, you first-hand knowledge. You were there yesterday.
They obviously Lady Falcons going for their 3rd straight state championship. Faced off a really good East Bernard team. And East Bernard was one of those teams that 3 of the teams returned. East Bernard was the one new face from last year that we hadn't seen. You know, last year Columbus was there, obviously Gunter, Bushland. And Gunter Bushland will be the state championship match at 11 a.m. in the morning. So literally, Parker and I will finish this game. He'll put the time up. We'll shut this thing down. We will drive back to Garland. But I'll tell you, there was an intensity that we haven't seen in a while. You know, our girls haven't been challenged in a while. We were just talking. We came into that game with 19 straight sweeps. And our district isn't always the toughest when it comes to volleyball. We've had that issue in football sometimes. But one of their themes is battle tested, battle ready. And they went through a gauntlet in the early season of 6As, and even to the point where Culpeper, he scheduled a secretive game against Lubbock Cooper right before the playoffs started. No fans, only parents. Like, it was just one of those. We're not telling anybody. We don't want the media there. And he did the same thing last year. It's that last Friday of the year of football season, and we're all out there getting ready for a football game, and they're sneaking in an extra match against high quality competition. But that second game yesterday that East Bernard took 25-22, we had some errors in there, and you saw them when they dropped that set. You just saw Kayla and Madison Everly and Logan Culpeper and some of those seniors go to a new level, and just a focus that you. And I'm not saying they don't always play with that, but there was the cheers, that stomp that, after the scoring, it got just a little more intense. And so I feel like our Lady Falcons are locked in and ready. If you had to ask, I think Day and Gunter had this circled. Obviously you have to go through the season, but when you're the two best teams and one returns 8 seniors, the other returns 7 seniors, they were looking for this. All the work they did, the whole off season, all the club travel, everything they did like in the past 12 months was to get back to this game for this rematch. And so I'm excited. Obviously, I got to call, I didn't get to, but I called a Gunter playoff game a few weeks ago.
You've got a little preview.
I did. I went and watched them play number 9 Edgewood. I watched them drop the first set to Edgewood and then battle back very similarly. They kind of came in, kind of going through the motions, made a few errors that you typically wouldn't see, and then they ended up falling behind 24-16, battled back to make it a 25-23, but they lost that first set and then ran it out. But what it did do is it gave us a chance to give Culpeper some extra film on his opponents. So I look for them to be ready to go in the morning. But yeah, if you have it in you after this, man, pack up. Even if you're in Bushland, man, as soon as this game's over, you can even listen to this game on the way. But get in your car and pack up, because it's a home game for Gunter. It's 53 miles from their school. Even on a Thursday game, their student section was probably 200 deep. I don't know if they canceled school or what, but they had a football game last night against Jacksboro, so it was a full day of sports for them. But it's going to be a packed house. It'll be raucous. Last year was fun. There were a lot of daddy ball chants at Logan, and so for her to get the final little ball and kill the net.
Those last 2 points was rocking it for her.
Oh,
she had a couple of setups that were just impressive.
Well, in that very last one, they're coming to the net, and she blocks that and kills it straight down, and they win the state championship, and it shut their student section up. I don't know that, and they're not mean. They're a great student section. It's just loud and fun, but they gave but when we interviewed I interviewed the senior girls a few weeks ago, and they said, when we were in that huddle, we didn't hear them, even though they were right over there. I'm talking over their shoulder. They said there's something about you get in that huddle and we get in so tight, it's just quiet, and we hear nothing but Culpeper's voice, and I think that speaks to their preparation. And Culpeper has them ready. I don't know that there's a better volleyball coach in the state of Texas than Jason Culpeper, and I've watched a lot of him the last few days at the elitist level, and he's one of the few guys walking those sidelines, but I'll tell you, he does it better than any of them, and so I'm excited for tomorrow morning.
So definitely tune in for that. You can always put it on NFHS and pause it just long enough, and then try to sync up our audio over the top and get that. I did that actually yesterday. So all right, so here's the deal real quick. So what we're going to do is we're going to stop this broadcast, and we're going to take the camera broadcast over to NFHS, so tune in over there. If you don't want to do that, we're going to start another feed over on YouTube. That will be an audio-only feed. Same audio, just no video on that one. So thanks for joining us for this pregame, Coach. Thanks for joining. He's going to stick around for the game as well.
You bet.
All right.
All right. Go